We have our mission statement. You can take your time to read it if you want.
I don't think I can read it.
Please keep in mind we are not in the role of healthcare provider. I just need to do that disclaimer. And also note there will not be a meeting in July and August because a lot of people in the villages take off and go on vacation in July and August. Did you notice that? Anyway, here we go. Some upcoming events that we have. In September, we will be back, and I'm gonna do a series called Making the Change. And so we're gonna start out with a whole food plant-based kitchen and how to set it up and some of the fun tools you can use and what makes eating whole food plant-based, how can you do that easier in your kitchen? How can you make your kitchen support you? How can you make your kitchen a safe space? Then we have a wonderful guest, Jacinda Shapiro, who talks about type 2 diabetes, reversing type 2 diabetes and other chronic illnesses, and she's wonderful. I've seen her speak. And November 12th, we're going to have another second one of Making the Change, Overcoming Difficulties. And I'm going to share some of my best recipes, and I hope that some of you will share some of your tips for going through the holidays as a whole food plant-based person. And we're going to need some volunteers because I'm thinking, what if we do Thanksgiving? It's a little early to think of that right now, but I want to get people in the idea of maybe volunteering and doing things. Another thing we're going to need volunteers for is we're doing the Village VHA Health and Wellness Expo, and that's going to be held over at Rohan, and we get a table, and we get to talk to people, and we get to give out our little papers up here and talk to people about whole food plant-based and all the benefits and how it's helped us improve our health, improve our life. And also I want to mention there is a all-vegan whole food plant-based cruise coming up in 2027 with Dr. Greger and Dr. Barnard. I think we have some members who are going, so it'd be great if people wanted to go and let us know how it is. Anyway, so that's the end of the announcements, and now we're going to get started. There's me. So there's not a lot of pictures of me because I used to avoid cameras. Like, I'm sure some people can relate. I used to avoid cameras, and I used to always crop my pictures. You notice how my arm is cropped out of there? Like, I didn't like pictures. But this is me before and then after. And I've been a part of different groups, and I've got some certifications or whatever. Anyway, along the way, I've learned some things. So maybe that makes me, I can help people out. I hope so. That's my goal. But I wanted to just share a little bit about my story. All right, but here's what we're talking about today: the pleasure trap. Why we are attracted to unhealthy food. So I have this book, The Pleasure Trap, Dr. Doug Lisle. This is one of my favorite books, and we're going to get into Dr. Doug Lisle and Dr. Alan Goldhammer. They wrote The Pleasure Trap. And these two are part of the McDougall team. And Dr. John McDougall is one of the whole food plant-based doctors that I took his course. And that's part of what changed my life. Even after having the E. Cornell and being whole food plant-based for 10 years, it was the Dr. McDougall that really made this lifestyle click for me in a way that I was able to achieve my health goals and have much better success. And these two doctors, this is a little different take than all the rest of the books over there because it's got the psychology and some of the history of how we ended up here as a culture, how we ended up in this pleasure trap, because really we're all in the pleasure trap. And I wanted to mention Dr. Alan Goldhammer because if I had a really bad diagnosis or serious diagnosis and was scared, I would go to True North. That is the place I would go first. And no matter what, that's the place I would be like, all right, I've done everything I possibly can to try to heal myself. So that's my bar. Anyway, today we're going to try to answer, why is it hard to maintain a healthy lifestyle in today's modern world, and why does unhealthy food tempt us? And so is the pleasure trap a bad thing? I mean, the pleasure trap, it sounds like something good, right? But the biological purpose of life is survival and reproduction, food and sex, or as Doug Lisle says, for men it's sex and food. So we have to eat and survive, reproduce, and these are the instincts rooted in our brains and the brains of all the animals. I mean, this is what we do in this life, in this world. We come and we have to eat to survive, and we want to make offspring, even though not everybody chooses to do that. But our brain rewards us when we do these things. Our brains reward us with a short-acting chemical, which is dopamine. We get dopamine hits, and that makes us feel really good, and we think, oh, this is a really good thing that we're doing, and so we want to do that. Our brains have evolved to seek maximum pleasure. That's how we get the highest calorie density. We seek the really yummy, high calorie density foods because that's part of survival, and that drive has kept our ancestors alive. So the pleasure trap isn't a good thing, but our bodies are working the way they're meant to, and that's how we're designed, is to seek that high calorie. So, evolutionary design. The problem is we were built for a different world than the one we live in. Back then, food was scarce. Nowadays, food is engineered, and humans started seeking making stable shelf food, and so like we had Crisco. And we look back now and we think, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. But that's part of how we got started. It was well-intentioned, and to have food that we didn't need to refrigerate, and then we got refrigerators and freezers, and now we got, fast food. So calories back then, in the old days, required effort. You had to plant it, you had to grow it, you had to prepare it. Nowadays, you can go anywhere and get food. You can go to a store. You don't even have to get out of your car. You can drive through. Who's been to the drive-through? And then you don't even have to drive through anymore, because after COVID, now you can just stay at home and the DoorDash will bring it to your house. Like, you don't have to go anywhere. Like, we've made it really easy. And back in the old days, sweet meant like fruit, like ripe fruit or citrus. I remember I used to get oranges. My mom used to tell me how she used to get oranges when she was a kid, because they didn't have oranges in Pennsylvania all year round. And so at Christmas, they got an orange from Florida. They were like really excited about it. Nowadays, sweet means sugar. Everybody gets sugar and candy, and there's sugar substitutes that are even sweeter than candy, than regular sugar. It's like, we've gone into these chemical compounds for trying to get to this stuff. Fat, back in the day, was rare survival energy. Hello, everybody. Rare survival energy, and fat today is ultra-processed oils, and it's in everything. You look at our foods, and there's always like oils in it, and we can't it's really hard to get away from. And we have deep frying, and we started really liking fried chicken. Salt is an essential mineral we do need, and salt is now in everything. We are eating a lot of salt. We have a lot of high sodium. I think a lot of people don't even realize how much salt that they're getting anymore. All right, the other problem is we keep wanting more. Is there enough seats for everybody? Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right, so this deceiving of our instincts is what we have termed the pleasure trap. And so what is that? Everybody knows what that is, right? Like, we're all conditioned. What is it? Snickers. And what is their tagline? Snickers really satisfies. It's like we get this marketing. All right, so part of what drives our neurocircuits for food and sex is we seek the dopamine hits, so we're wired to seek pleasure. We are wired to avoid pain, and so this is where a little bit of the problem comes. We want to avoid bad outcomes, but we can't connect the behavior, like short-term behavior, what we're doing, what we're eating, to the long-term outcomes. And we don't realize that eating all the burgers and processed food and stuff like that will catch up with us later. And it accumulates in our bodies, and then we're having trouble later with health issues, and we're like, where'd that come from? The third thing is humans are wired to conserve energy. And so we take the path of least resistance always. Like, it's easier, like, hey, do you want to cook tonight? No, I want to call out where we're in. It's easier. So sometimes you have to make a plan. So we're kind of going against our instincts because the modern food is engineered to exploit all three of these drives simultaneously. So it's hard. Artificial stimuli hijack our natural reward system and make our unhealthy choices feel better than healthy ones. Like we get dopamine hits when we eat this stuff. So here is some of my, what I call food porn. And I put this together, and like, we look at this food, and some of us, you can almost feel yourself salivating, or you can almost remember, like, oh, I see donuts, and I think of Sundays going to church and going out for donuts afterward, or I see a burger, and I think of like cookouts, or chips, I think of a party, or ice cream, I think of a hot night, going out for ice cream. We use food to celebrate. We have a lot of memories. We have a lot of happy memories from these foods, and that gets ingrained into us, and we get conditioned because we see that, and we get a little like salivating, like, ooh, that looks good. You see commercials on TV, and you're like, ooh, that looks good. They're tempting us. They're using the pleasure trap to entice you. All right, dopamine. That's what's causing the salivation. That's what's causing the ooh. Natural foods do produce moderate dopamine spikes, but they're not as high as as these foods. Like if I had salad up there, it's not as exciting. And we know that. We know it. Processed foods produce massive drug-like dopamine surges. And over time, receptors downregulate, and we need more to feel the same. So whole plant foods start to taste bland by comparison. This is the same mechanism as drug addiction. Our brain cannot tell the difference between a drug and a cheeseburger. That's a quote from Dr. Lyle. We get hooked. It's like we used to have pizza, right? And you'd have sauce. I remember my mom making pizza with sauce and a little bit of cheese, but it wasn't like covered in cheese. And then I remember the invention of, I'm going to order double cheese. And then we went and we evolved to, I want double cheese with pepperoni and cheese in the crust. You know what I mean? Like we just keep wanting more and more of these foods, and and now we like deep fry Oreos, and like, it gets crazy. All right, the bliss point. So this is where, and I have some books up here, because here's the pleasure trap, but this book, Salt, Sugar, Fat, and Ultra-Processed People, talk about this little bit in the bliss point. The bliss point is actual food manufacturers have gotten together, and this is the story this one really tells, and they have figured out what addicts us or what hooks us into their food. They don't like the word addiction, so I'll use the word hooked. But the salt, oil, and sugar provides like a triple trigger. And does anyone know what the food companies think of as the ideal food for the bliss point? I'll give you a hint. You can't eat just one. Doritos. Isn't that their tag? You can't eat just one.
Yeah.
Well, maybe more. Oh, maybe. All right. Well, anyway, it's Doritos. They think that nacho cheese Doritos is like the ultimate in bliss point because you eat it and then like you lose the flavor and it's just at this point where you're going to put your hand back in the bag and get another one. But salt especially drives us to eat past fullness and found in nature in tiny amounts, but it's, like I said, virtually in every packaged food. Oils, 9 calories a gram, 0 fiber, 0 water, extracted from whole foods. Well, it's an isolated nutrient. It's isolated nutrient, and it doesn't give you the signals in satiety. Refined sugar triggers insulin spikes and rapid reward. Your ancestors never encountered it in this form. If you combined all three of these, it's irresistibility by design. It's hard to resist, it's temptation, and they know it. And that's why they have marketing and commercials and everything like that. All right, so why our willpower fails? Well, willpower is a finite resource, but the food industry has unlimited research and development budgets. And so they've studied us, and our decision fatigue depletes our willpower through the day. This was a problem that I had was like in the morning, I would start out great with my bowl of oatmeal, and then lunch I would have my salad, and and dinner time I was really hungry. I was like, oh, what am I gonna eat now? Like I wanted more. And so I had to work with that. I'll give you some tips for that later. So the food scientists engineered bliss points, the exact sweetness, fat, salt that maximizes craving. Billions are spent making processed food that is more appealing than a salad ever will be. I mean, we go to restaurants, and if we have to order a salad, we're like, well, I don't want just a salad. Everybody else is eating chicken wings and other stuff, or onion rings. The myth of failing willpower causes shame and blame, which often leads to more overeating. The solution, though, isn't discipline. It's changing our environment, or at least the environment that we can change. All right, so here's another example of natural versus supernormal pleasure. So like just a ripe strawberry is delicious on its own, and I love them. But then when you put it next to ice cream, strawberry ice cream, which one do people tend to pick if you have strawberry and strawberry ice cream? I would say put them both together, but boiled steamed potatoes versus flavored chips that are curly fries. Whole olives versus olive oil with salt and herbs or something. Oatmeal versus, I remember as a kid I was eating Fruit Loops and Lucky Charms with the marshmallows. Lucky Charms with marshmallows, and it's all bright colors, artificially colored, and all cheerful, and oh my goodness. And tomato, like a fresh Jersey tomato, versus frozen pizza and ketchup, which I guess counts as a vegetable somewhere in some places. But I think when I was a kid growing up, even though I lived in Pennsylvania close to Jersey, and my parents ate Jersey tomatoes, I wouldn't eat an actual tomato. I would eat tomato sauce, I would eat ketchup, but I wouldn't eat an actual tomato because, I don't know, I was afraid of it. I was like, oh, I don't want that. But, I had to teach myself how to eat more natural food because I grew up eating all the stuff on the right and not so much on the left. Although I was very lucky, we had a lot of fruit. I came across this quote, and I thought it was interesting. I doubt whether the world holds for anyone a more soul-stirring surprise than the first adventure with ice cream. And I thought about that, and I thought, wow, that's really telling of our society. But I mean, yeah, ice cream was good, right? We liked it. That's very interesting. All right, so here's some more food porn, but this is good food porn. This is my food porn. So, these are some meals that I've had. I think that's a stock photo, but that's my soup. That's my Hasselback potato with broccoli, and this is pancakes that I made with sausage. I made tofu oat sausage. It was very good, and mushroom stroganoff and salad. Across the bottom, I have the foods I eat. I call it crops: corn, rice, oats, potatoes, and then up is supplemental fruits, veggies, and beans. So all those foods on the outer side, the bottom and across the right-hand side, you use those foods to make the ones in the middle, the oatmeal, the pancakes. So you really can make a variety of good-tasting foods that aren't going to trigger into the pleasure trap, that aren't going to trip that dopamine hit in the same way that'll get you hooked. And this is a more natural way to do it. And I think these foods are pretty fun, colorful, and yummy looking too, so. All right, so I'm going fast here. The health equation. How can we adjust our behaviors? So what we need is the correct information. You can get lots of information out there in the wild world, and there's a lot of food noise, I call it. Everybody has the answer, this diet or that diet or this supplement or procedure or treatment or whatever. And if you don't have the correct information, it's not going to matter. You're going to be stuck on the same toxic diet wheel. You're going to be a hamster in a wheel. So you need to have the correct information. And then even if you have the correct information, say you're okay, so I got to eat fruits and vegetables, things that grow in the ground, whole foods. It's okay, I get that. But you need motivation. You need a reason to do it. Because some people know, and they're I just I can't do it. You need to have a personal motivation. One of the things that tends to be personal motivation is health crisis. And don't be that person. Don't wait until you're in a bad situation, and that's, how a lot of us got here. But if you can try to work on it before you have a problem, it's better. You're going to be in a better position. You're going to put yourself in a better health. And our net satisfaction depends on our success. Our success drives our choices. If you're only kind of half doing it, you're not going to get the results of success that a lot of people are expecting. And then you're going to blame it, and you're still going to be stuck on that hamster wheel. So I'm trying to get people off the hamster wheel and give them the correct information, which I truly believe that this is the correct information. The whole food plant-based diet really is the diet that is best, and I think is supported by the research, has been the healthiest for humans. And the fact that we don't know that, we don't admit that, is like the ultimate human ignorance. And we go fighting over food and what's right and what's wrong and all nitpicking these things, and it's keeping us from becoming a healthier nation. We have to face the fact that, whole food plant-based has really been a good way for us to get healthy, and the more that we get people and families to do this, the better off we're going to be as a culture, because we're going to be feeling better, we're going to be healthier, we're going to be living better. So to change our behavior, we must change our environment. So we can't change the world, although I'd like to, but you have to just start with your own kitchen. So that's why we're going to start with the kitchen in September. You got to start with your own world and what you're doing. We want to increase the pleasure that we get from healthy choices. If you don't like the food you're eating, you're not going to stick with it. So, like my food porn back here, I didn't even put the tacos up there. We make tacos all the time, and they're good. The food is good, and if people realize how much the food tastes good, and it's really not so foreign and weird. I know people hear tofu. I wasn't a tofu eater till I started doing this, and now I'm like, yeah, tofu, that's a pretty amazing food. You can do a lot with tofu. But it took me a while to learn. I had to take the time to learn. And I was resistant. I was like, no, I've been eating a while. I don't need to learn how to eat weird stuff like that. But once I did, I found, I can make little sausage patties with it. So it's pretty good. All right. Hold on, give me 1 second to have water. So this is going to talk about what it's like when you start doing the diet, what to expect. So your body can change, your brain can change. The neuroplasticity in your mind means that your taste buds can change, and you're going to adapt. So like in the first 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, your taste buds are going to begin to reset. Salt and sugar sensitivity increases, and you're going to get biofeedback. The number one thing when I hear people who have just started the diet, because I said something, is the gut response. They're like, well, I'm really going. I said, yeah, you're clearing out. That's good. This is good, because we have problems in our country with that. But the improved gut response, clearer complexion, increased satiety. You'll notice that when you start eating a lot of starch and rice and beans and things like that, you can last a little longer from meal to meal. You're not always hungry quite at mealtime. You're like, you know what, I'm still full, like I'm good. And food isn't as tempting. Like you can go places and be like, oh, you know what, I'm good. I don't need to have as much. 1 to 3 months, whole plant foods start tasting more complex and satisfying. The biofeedback is you're going to have less inflammation in your body. Your tongue isn't going to be coated with oil. You're going to start connecting the reward with the behavior. You're going to start feeling really good, and you're not going to want to eat something that's going to set you back as much because you're having so much fun with what you're eating. 3 to 6 months, offending foods taste overpoweringly sweet or salty. Like when you haven't been eating salt for a while and then you eat French fries or potato chip, you're like, whoa, that is super salty. And you don't realize that you didn't even think about that before. The biofeedback, reduced cravings, physical evidence, you'll start to have weight loss, you get maybe some good medical tests. And it is so much nicer to go to your doctor and hear good news than it is to not. 6+ months, natural flavors become genuinely pleasurable. The biofeedback is improved memory and brain health. Your relationship with food has changed or is in the process of changing. And you are really changing over from kind of letting the food control you to controlling your food is really what switch is happening. So your brain is not broken, it just needs a different environment. All right, so this is something I do, and it's self-talk reframing, and it helps you fight the pleasure trap. It helps you kind of break the connection of just giving in. So eating healthy is not a punishment, it is radical self-care, and your future self will thank you. I have yet to hear anybody say, oh, I regret going on a whole food plant-based diet. I have not heard those words. Everyone is like, oh, I wish I knew sooner. That's what I hear. So instead of saying eating a salad is boring, say, I haven't given my taste buds time to reset, or I can add corn, beans, or salsa or something to make it more interesting, and you can bring something along, as we talked about last week or last month. I can't control my sweet tooth, or oh, I'm addicted to chocolate. What you can say is, I can find some good tasting, healthy treats. And there are a lot of really good options, including just fruit. Fresh fruit, like a fresh orange that's cold from the fridge and just peel it. Like I love that. I think they're good. And right now is my favorite time of year. You got fresh strawberries. I had fresh apricots the other day. Oh my gosh, they were so good. So I love that. I don't like mushrooms. Haha. I don't like mushrooms. But I taught my kids this. Don't say you don't like a food. Say, I don't like it yet. That way you always keep the door open in case you want to change your mind. So I'm going to tell you my mushroom story. I went to a friend's house, whole food plant-based person, and they were so excited they cooked dinner for me. And they said, you're going to be excited, I made you a great meal, it's all compliant. And I was like, oh great, what are we having? Mushroom stroganoff. And I was like, okay, that's great. You know, it was already ready and everything, and I'm just like, there's wine, I'll be okay. And I looked at Wallace, and he looked at me, and so I was like, all right, we're just going in. So I get to there, I get my bowl, I'm eating the mushroom stroganoff, and I'm just like, you know what? This is really good, I like it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I like these mushrooms. So that is the only way I will eat mushrooms now. That's it. I will eat it in my stroganoff, but that's it. But they say you have to have it, like, expose yourself 8 to 10 times before it, like, normalizes. So I'm working on that because Wallace and my daughter, who live with me, they really do like the mushroom stroganoff. So I do make it. So it does. I like it. I like the mushrooms. Who knew? Who knew? So say I don't like something yet, and keep the door open because you might change your mind and your taste buds might change. All right, I'm hungry and there's nothing to eat. Well, if you get to that point, it's because you don't have a plan and you're in the refrigerator and, you know, the thing is your body is never not looking. I'm not the food police. I don't care what you eat. But your body is never not looking. And even if you go in the fridge and even if you sneak and even if you do the walk, you know, it still counts because your body still sees it. And the accounting in the body is just so good, too good. So I can make a plan for better outcomes. That's a way to help counter that when you're getting in a situation or you're in a restaurant and you're like, I don't know what to eat. Well, when I'm in a restaurant and I don't know what to eat and there's nothing on the menu, I try to go for, like, if they have mashed potatoes or something with rice or something with corn. And now I'm a little bit more strict than I was back then. I used to get French fries, I admit it. But I would say, okay, I need to make a better plan for when I go out next time so I can do better, because I don't want to derail myself when I go out. All right, so this is the pleasure trap, the toll on health. It's chronic illness, chronic disease. The conditions directly tied to our hijacked reward system is obesity and overweight, 42% of US adults. Heart disease is the #1 cause of death. Colon cancer, strongly diet-linked. Type 2 diabetes, 90% diet-related. hypertension driven by excess fat and salt, and food addiction. We have a lot of food addiction issues. It's clinically recognized, you know, and it causes food addiction. It also causes food aversions, like not liking mushrooms. Anyway, these are not inevitable, and they are largely a result of the pleasure trap. The whole food plant-based solution. The whole food plant-based eating works with your biology and not against it. We focus on low calorie density foods, eating to fullness without excess calories, without the extra oils. When you're eating salads and grains but not putting butter on it, or eating potatoes without sour cream. But there's a lot of things you can put on it that make it taste really good. And baked beans, sauces, different things. High fiber, we try to eat high fiber because it fills you up, slows digestion, feels good feeds good gut bacteria. It's hard to say. Feeds good gut bacteria, which the microbiome is really important, and that's very trending right now in the world. High water content, the volume creates satiety signals. So I was listening to Dr. Lyle talk the other day, and he was saying that having like dried fruit and then a glass of water is not the same in your body as eating the actual fruit that has the water in it, and that is going to digest in a slower way. It's like a time-release capsule. So it's not the same when you're just drinking water trying to make it up, and I think we tend to eat dry foods like crackers and dried fruit because it's more concentrated calories. So again, we're more naturally like inclined to want to eat that because of that. But we want to be careful with that. He talks about using wet starches. So when you're cooking, I try to incorporate steamed potatoes, steamed rice, steamed oatmeal, steamed veggies. We do use some roasting, but I really try to encourage doing the steaming, especially in the beginning as you're getting used to doing the diet if anyone's a beginner. The no sugar, oil, salt. People will start this diet, some people who are trying really hard to turn around health outcomes, and they'll eliminate the sugar, oil, and salt. This may or may not be your ultimate goal, but it can be helpful for identifying allergens and irritants, and also breaking your pleasure trap connection, and it shifts your relationship. And while some people think that's the place to live, and if that works for you, I encourage everyone to find what works for them and their body, and to try to do the least restrictive diet that works for your goals. Because sometimes we can start to resent the diet, and that's counterproductive if you're going to be like, well, I need to have a little bit of salt. If you need a little bit of salt or sugar, McDougall recommends using it at your table. And so you're just putting it directly on the food, and then you get the most flavor from the salt or sugar without having such high amounts of it in your food that are hidden, that just you become accustomed to eating. All right, escaping the trap, practical steps. Eliminate sugar, oil, especially the oil or salt at home. You can't eat what's not there. Limit the salt and sugar to table use. Eat enough volume. Don't restrict portions of whole plant foods. Eat until you're satisfied. This is not a deprivation diet where you're trying to use willpower. If you're hungry, go eat a potato. If you're hungry, go eat some rice. If you're hungry, go eat some oatmeal and blueberries or something like that. It's great to eat a salad and eat veggies too. That's also good if that'll work for you. But sometimes people are like, oh, I need protein. What you're really craving is kind of like fat and that like gut feel of like I'm full and my stomach feels content. And I find that just eating a potato. We keep steamed potatoes in our fridge. I keep steamed potatoes, steamed rice, and steamed oatmeal in my fridge to just grab and go. It's so easy. I don't have a reason to not eat because I already have food prepared all the time. So there's always something healthy, a healthy choice to make, which helps me make healthy choices more often. Don't rely on willpower. Change your environment, your social circles, your routines, not just your resolve. Coming to these meetings, finding community. These are the important things. I have a lot of groups I follow on social media, that all focus on doing these foods. I've joined groups and taken courses and met people from all over doing these. And it really, when you surround yourself in this kind of talk, you're like, hey, I'm not so weird. Like, this is good, it's healthy. And you hear all these incredible stories of people who have transformed their life. All right, so this is Vacation from Health. We're about to go on vacation. And I'm almost done, just to let you know. We're about to go on vacation, and people have just this once. It's a special occasion, and I'll be good tomorrow. Each time we do that, it resensitizes us back to our super normal stimuli, and we get kind of pulled back into the pleasure trap. And sometimes when you do that, it can take a little bit for you to get back out of it. So you really want to think, like, do I want to, I've done this for weeks or whatever, do I want to slip back by just having one French fry or something? Moderation advice is counterproductive when brain chemistry is involved. My experience with humans in moderation is we are terrible at moderation. We always err on the side of us winning out on the high-fat foods. Like, yeah, we're not good at moderation because of strawberry and strawberry ice cream. We're gonna have both, like we're like, yay. A smoker doesn't benefit from moderation with smoking. Some people find complete abstinence from SOS easier than moderation. That's true. And common special occasions become less special the more you feel well every day. Everybody's like, oh, I'll just do it on special occasion. And then you find out that everybody has a birthday. And I had a birthday this week. This was my special occasion, was my birthday. And I will tell you, I am not perfect, but I do my best. But like, I don't want to resent missing out or whatever. So I get to, in our family, a tradition is you get to pick what you want for dinner. So I had salad, broccoli, and this is vegan tortellini. It's kite hill, it's very good. Which is a special meal for me. And I only have this like once a year. Like, this is it. I don't have this any other time. And I also did have a piece of diet cheesecake. But it is 1/8 of the pie. And it's a small pie. And that was my happy birthday treat that I had this year. But then the next day, I was right back on it. Oatmeal with blueberries and Brussels sprouts and brown rice. A little teriyaki sauce. So I got right back into it the next day. It was one day, one meal, 1 minute, and I enjoyed it. And then I went right back to my routine because my routine keeps me safe. And so I like having that routine of, eating the safe foods. And aren't those beautiful flowers my love got me? All right, so what the research shows. 74% of patients at True North reversed or reduced chronic disease markers on whole food, plant-based, and fasting protocols. That's a pretty good record of good results, and that's why I would go to True North. 3 to 4 weeks is typically how long it takes for taste preferences to shift when you're eating this way, and 30% reduction in food cravings reported by participants after 3 weeks of doing the SOS whole food plant-based diet. These are all from the book, from True North, their results. And the #1 factor in long-term adherence and success is social support and community, like this group. All right, this is thriving in the villages, because this is where we live. Why this message matters even more here in retirement. More time, more choices. Retirement brings more eating opportunities, more social events, and more food gatherings, more food-centered gatherings. I don't know if anyone has noticed that, that there's a few food-centered gatherings around the place in the villages. And there's more opportunities, and you want to keep those special events special. So do you really want to go have chips every single card game and on a weekly basis? Like, you gotta start to decide, okay, that's a little more than I want to be eating it. How much am I hurting myself? And is it really worth it? And make a plan. Bring raspberries, bring blueberries, and those go too. I've seen strawberries, that kind of thing. You can bring that. Cognitive health. Whole food plant-based directly supports brain health, reducing the risk of dementia and cognitive decline. There are a lot of studies that have been going on. I believe it, Dr. Ornish has been doing the connection between Alzheimer's and this diet, and he's got a lot of research. So this is really good for your brain too. We came here not for the food. At least I don't know who came to the villages for the food. We came here because we want to be active and we want to participate in these activities. And the best way to do that is to take care of your body so you're able to show up in those places the way you want to show up, as healthy and as active as you can be. Energy and mobility, reduced inflammation through diet helps maintain your active lifestyle. Medication reduction. Many members have reduced or eliminated medications under physician supervision. And this club is your advantage. The community support is the biggest advantage. So, you are not in a trap. You are in the process of escaping one. Understanding how this works removes the shame. It's not biology. It's biology. It's not weakness. Your taste buds will change if you give them the chance. The whole food plant-based lifestyle gets easier, then it becomes effortless, then it becomes joyful because you feel good and you like your food. And it's the food humans were meant, whoever created this food. It really does feel like you're more in alignment when you're eating this way. You're eating with the seasons, you're eating with nature. The community is one of your most powerful tools, and then it says read the book. And then, I gave you my mushroom stroganoff recipe, just in case you don't like mushrooms and you want to try it.
Oh boy.
All right, find the least restrictive path that helps you meet your goals. Law of diminishing returns, and Dr. Douglas says go for the low A. He says you can go for perfection, but you can also overstress yourself trying to reach perfection. Where we want to hit is we want to hit right under perfection, where we have enough fun to enjoy our life and stuff and give ourselves a little flexibility. It's kind of like a backbone. You have a little flexibility, but you have a solid structure. That's where you want to aim. That's the low A, and that's what we want to do with whole food plant-based. So that is my talk. We are ready to go back and have some food. Does anyone have any questions before I? Yes?
I want to make a point that it said 42% of Americans, I believe it is, are overweight or obese.
Oh,
It's been creeping up. It's like
Yeah.
74% now.
I believe it is higher. I think
Yeah.
that's from the book, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's absolutely, yeah.
Just as a matter of reinforcement to something Susan said, my son had suffered with acne for a very, very long time. And I finally, through my heart, my health issue myself, started on the whole food plant-based, and I got him going. And once he found out that dairy was causing his acne, it went away in a week.
Yeah,
It
that's
went away
right.
in a week. He stopped eating dairy, he stopped eating, cream in his coffee and yogurt and stuff, and acne went away.
That was one of the reasons why my daughter first started going vegan, because she had heard that it would help acne, and it helped right away. Yes.
I had a good friend of mine who was on a whole food plant-based diet and did everything right, and she was still having a lot of pain in her stomach. And for her, she went and got an allergy test, and she was allergic to blueberries.
Oh.
So you know how everybody says blueberries are great for you, great antioxidants and everything, but her body, it was not. So everybody's body's different. So even though she did everything she said, or they said to do, so if you're following it and there's still something that you're not feeling good, that it could be an allergy, and again, they say blueberries, everybody should eat them, they're good for her, but they were not good for her. When she eliminated the blueberries, everything, her body all went all over.
Yeah, it's really important to listen to your body and the biofeedback that you get from your body. And that's part of what I think the diet, doing whole food plant-based does, is instead of following all these guidelines or eating by your craving, you start to get in touch with your body's cues and clues and realize that what you eat, you are what you eat. That's like the old saying, you are what you eat. and you start to read your body, and your body's telling you, like, yes, I like this, no, I don't like this. And so, like, when you have dairy and you break out on your face, or I get a runny nose whenever I get dairy or whatever. And so now I know that it really was never doing good in my body, but I didn't know how to connect the biofeedback with what my actions were. And once I made that connection, I was like, oh, but you have to get it out of your system. You have to take a break from it and then start to recognize that it's actually been affecting you, and you don't know how long it's been affecting you, and we try to, I think this diet is very healing, but it can't heal everything. We've been eating this way for a long time, and some of the damage, it will help what can be helped. And Chef AJ said it's like putting on a seatbelt, like it's not gonna protect you from life happening and things that can happen, but it really is gonna keep you on a road where you're on a road where you wanna be for better health. And I think that it helps to support your homeostasis, support your immune system, and it gives you a fighting chance, more so than following a standard American diet. So, okay, let's go eat. I brought steamed potatoes, and I also made some pineapple coconut cake, oat cake, for people to celebrate my birthday.